Hello, my name is Jose, and in this series of videos, we're going to try to do something that is not very useful, other than for educational purposes. But I find this project very interesting, and maybe we can learn together. So what we're trying to do is just replicate what the Pandas library does. The Pandas library, as you know, is very powerful. If you're watching this video, you probably know what Pandas is. So I have pre-created this project. I'm calling it Bamboo, and it's going to be very simple. It's just a pip package. For the moment, I have a way to create where we're going to store the data frame, the series, and any helper functions that we need. So let's get started. The first thing that we see, one important thing, we're not going to be using any sort of external libraries. We're not going to use like any NumPy, any low-level C implementations. Like, we are only going to stick with native Python function without any external dependencies. So let's see. One of the first things that we see when we start creating a data frame is that even though you create a data frame like this, actually every single column, it's a series. So I think that the best way to get started is creating just a class series. So a series, like we can see, can take one type of object and can have nonce or NP nonce. But we're going to simplify. Like I said, we're not going to use NumPy, so we're just going to stick with the regular Python nonce. So we could start something like this. We would have an init that would take the data and nothing else. So now we could have some sort of values stored, and then once we have the values, we haven't populated yet, but it's going to happen somewhere else. So generate values is what I think should make sense. And this function should be part of the class and should start populating this. So because the series can take one type of data and nonce, we need to keep track of what those values are. So in this case, we're going to keep like data types, and we're going to go with a set so that we can store, when we raise the exception, which values are the ones that are not properly don't belong to the same class. And now that we have that, we can look for value in data. Oh yeah, and we are missing the data here. So if value is none, we don't have anything else to do. We just do self.values.append the value. But what happens if the value has something else? Well, we first need to keep track of the type. So we are going to do data types.add the type of the value. And now that we are storing, now we know that if there are more than two types in this set, there is something seriously wrong. So if the length of data types is greater than 1, then we need to raise an exception that has to say like, hey, only one type is allowed in a series. If not, then we just can keep going, and we can just the same as in line 10, self.values.append the value. So let's see if this works. So I am currently here. So let's do from Bamboo series import series, and let's just copy what we have here. Let's check this part of the array. Oh, So generate values. Oh, of course, self. So let's see one more time. Nice. So these worked, but we are not looking at the values. The only way that we can see the values is by accessing these attributes. So let's do that. Oh, so that's fine. That's what we expected. This should also work if these are all strings. Perfect. What happens if we have a none? That works. And what happens now if we just have a different type? Oh yeah, so maybe this message could be a little bit clearer. So only one type and none is allowed in the series. Got, and let's log the types. Great. Let's refresh. Data types. Yeah, so that correctly tells us that it is taking something that it shouldn't have. So I think that's it. So we have the first prototype of what a series is.